Hi guys, it's Mark Zicree, Mr. Sci-Fi, also Mark Zicree of Space Command. Lots is going on. First of all, subscribe to Mr. Sci-Fi, ding the bell, comment, all that stuff. Just tell your friends. We are only a few hundred people away from 100,000 subscribers. Let's make that goal happen. Good Lord. Won't that be an exciting day? Meantime, we are editing and shooting and doing tons of stuff. Lots more to tell you about in the very near future. Right now, I'm going to talk about alternative dimensions primarily the TV show Constellations, which stars Noomi Rapace, who was terrific in the original Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, and less terrific, but certainly memorable in Prometheus, which is, as I've said, one of the best bad movies ever made. Turn off the sound, it's gorgeous. But Constellations, let's see, where shall I start? It's about an astronaut on the ISS. Now, there must be a standing ISS set somewhere, because lately I've been seeing a ton of movies set on the International Space Station in all sorts of different countries, and including the recent one, which I haven't yet seen, about the Russians battling the Americans on the ISS, which is called ISS, I believe. But Constellations takes place on the ISS. Something collides with it. There's a major crisis, and the astronauts have to get off the ISS, and Noomi Rapace is the lone survivor to go down in one of the two capsules. So here's what it is. It's pretty much the same exact plot as a couple of other parallel world stories that were made a long time ago. So let's talk about it. So the first parallel world story, and the basic notion of the parallel world trope in science fiction, because it's a popular subgenre of science fiction, is an alternative time stream that every time there's a choice made, it creates two possibilities that branch off as two parallel worlds. And the first story that dealt with this that I know of is Sidewise in Time by Murray Leinster, which appeared in the 1934 issue of Astounding Science Fiction, and then was republished in a collection of stories called Sidewise in Time in, I think, 1950 by Murray Leinster, who was a popular science fiction writer. Murray Leinster, interestingly enough, was a pseudonym. His real name was Will Jenkins, which is interesting. But it was a very entertaining little short story. And from then on, it seemed like almost every science fiction writer wrote a riff on that notion of alternate parallel worlds, because the idea of seeing yourself on an alternate history, what if I'd done this thing instead of that thing, is endlessly fascinating. Of course, I wrote and produced the fourth season of Sliders, and it was a lot of fun to have Jerry O'Connell and our other actors being able to play duplicates of themselves. Very, very fun. So, Constellation, she gets home, this astronaut, and there's all sorts of mysteries happening initially on the ISS before she leaves it, and then when she gets to Earth, and there's all these mysteries about this piece of equipment that has these weird radioactive kind of beams coming off of it, energy beams. And the actor who played Mike Armentrout on Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul is in this, not nearly as well used in this show as on those ones. And I'm going to have, there'll be spoilers here, so I'll if you don't want spoilers, don't listen anymore. But here's my thought about all of this. If you want to see a show about an alternate timeline that utilizes NASA and the other space agencies, watch For All Mankind, which is a really, really good show. This is basically one gag, and Rod Serling wrote an hour-long Twilight Zone episode, which I own the spacesuit of, interestingly enough, called The Parallel. And the notion is a astronaut goes up in space, lands on Earth, and things are subtly different. His rank is different. Instead of being a major, he's a colonel, or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's slight, subtle differences. Ultimately, what he realizes is that he has traded places with his duplicate from a parallel Earth. And then that story, pretty much with the same basic gag, was done again in the 70s in a movie called Journey to the Far Side of the Sun. It starred Roy Thinnis, who had been the lead actor in TV's The Invaders, And it was again the notion of there's an Earth, an identical Earth, on the other side of the sun, and Worthinus is an astronaut who ends up there thinking he's back on his Earth, but there are all sorts of changes, subtle, and he finally realizes that he's not on his Earth, but simply a subtle variant of it. Now, so this is basically a gag in Numi Rapace's thing, that there's a quantum device that's basically opening a portal between two parallel Earths, two parallel dimensions, and duplicates are sliding through one way or another, and Numi Rapace ends up sliding through to an alternate Earth, and I pretty much guessed this on the first episode, but now we're along episode 4, and she's still kind of like, saying, well, I remember a blue car, and that's a red car. I remember the things being different in the cupboards. Gee, my daughter used to speak Swedish, and now she doesn't, and all this nonsense. And it never occurs to her that something really, really strange scientifically is going on. Okay, but, it's a fun show if you want something moderately entertaining, but if you're a fan of, science fiction for any period of time, you'll have encountered this story in many, many guises. So anyway, that's about it for now. Much more to talk about very, very soon. Just wanted to touch base for a minute or two. And please spread the word. Tell your friends. Let everyone know. Space Command, Mr. Sci-Fi, 100,000 subscribers coming up. And that's about it for now. Bye, guys.